Hi guys, welcome back to today's Hurricane Outlook and discussion, recorded on the 6th of November 2020, recorded around 6 PM Eastern Standard Time. A quick few announcements for the channel. Thanks for Brotto Weather for shouting me out yesterday. Very nice guy. Go and subscribe to him. Another announcement is that my channel did not allow you to turn on notifications tomorrow. That has now been fixed, and if you'd like you can go and do that. Today we're going to be discussing Tropical Depression Eta that has now moved off and is starting its journey in the Central Caribbean. There has been some tropical storm watches for the western tip of Cuba and this island here, and then there is some tropical storm warnings for the Cayman Islands and central Cuba. If we take a look at the visible loop, we can see that throughout the day the storm has been firing some deep convection around its low level center that is somewhere here. Still very hard to make out where it is because it's quite broad and elongated, but it has been firing deep convection, so this should help contract the circulation. If we take a look at the Euro model, it has had a bit more of a northeast movement today on the track. So if we carry on in the next 24 hours, the storm is now looking more organised, so this allows for further strengthening, but I wouldn't expect explosive strengthening because there are unfavourable conditions throughout the storm's life until it comes up to the Florida Keys, potentially where it can strengthen more. If we move out another 24 hours, we can see that the storm has now been moving over Cuba. So with this, there'll be some impacts, mainly wind impacts and some heavy rain for Cuba, the islands, and maybe just the south tip of Jamaica. If we carry on going forward, we can see that the storm has now taken a more northeast movement from yesterday, where it came up and did a hard left turn. That's something new today on the Euro that's become more in line with the GFS. If we carry on going out, we can see the storm then moves into the central Gulf, where it continues to strengthen. If we keep on moving out to the 124-hour mark, we can see then the storm starts to make its northeast turn. Where this happens is going to be important for where impacts will be felt. If we take a look at the GFS model, we can see what the atmosphere is looking like. At the moment, we got a cutoff low located around Louisiana and Texas state line. This will be drifting southwards over the next couple of days, where it will interact with the storm down here when it moves up here. There is also high pressure that's moving eastward over the next few days, and this will have an impact on the steering of the storm as well. So if we take a look at the storm throughout the next couple of hours, the GFS takes longer to get it organised, but this is at 500 millibars, so this is high up in the atmosphere. So at this point it could be a bit more organised in the lower levels. If we carry on going on, then it consolidates more, and now we have a strong tropical storm around 60 miles an hour approaching the central Cuba. If we keep moving out, the storm becomes even more organised as it's coming over Cuba, and then this interaction with the land may weaken it, but there are also some other facts playing into this weakening. If we carry on moving out, we can see that the storm is moving through the Caribbean and making that northeast turn. If we carry on moving out, we can see this happening on the GFS, where it starts to become more organised and more strong. That we could have a Category 1 hurricane nearing the Florida, but this is still some far out and we don't really know yet. If we carry on with the model, we see that it makes landfall in just on the south tip of Florida near Miami and the Florida Keys. So I would expect tropical storm warnings to be in effect in the next 48 hours or so. If we carry on moving out, we can see then the storm weakens, not weakens, but becomes less organised when it's moving over land, and then it just moves up this western side of Florida until it makes that northeast turn. If we take a look at the relative humidity in the 700-400 millibar level, we can see that the storm at the moment has a good moisture field, expanding from the eastern Pacific up to to Cuba and then far out into the Atlantic. If we carry on moving out in time, we can start to see that the storm starts to get itself organised more, but what we can see is the first signs of some dry air moving towards the system. This will, from time to time, get entrained into the system, like the GFS is showing on approach to Cuba. We get a good swath of dry air coming in from the southeast, coming from the southeast. If we carry on moving out in time, we can only see that this is still occurring, approaching landfall in Cuba. But once it moves into the Florida Keys, we can start to see where the storm might try to start getting its moisture wrapped around all the way. But this is going to be important to see how far the strength goes for this storm. If we carry on moving in time, we can start to see that the storm is starting to get more compact and thing, but we start to see some more dry air entrainment. Depending on how much dry air it gets into the system before approaching Florida will depend very much on how much impact Florida will get. But what we can say for now is that Florida will be getting lots of rain over the next 5 days, and the weather services expecting 6 to 10 inches of rain for the south tip of Florida. So this is more of a flooding issue for Florida, more than likely. If we carry on moving out in time, we can see that the storm starts to pass across Florida, and we can start to see that it starts to weaken pretty much as there's a lot of dry air making its way into the center. The reason this is happening is because we're starting to see some strong wind shear across the Gulf of Mexico. So from time to time, this wind shear will help push in the dry air, from time to time pausing the intensification. Depending on how much dry air and wind shear affects the system will make it harder to forecast what impacts we'll get, because it's very judgmental, in my opinion. Sometimes if this dry air comes into the system, it'll disrupt it more, so we might have a weaker storm on approach. But if it gets less dry air, we can have a stronger storm approaching the Florida Keys. If we take a look at the vorticity right now, we can see that, for reference, these higher reds and whites are your higher cyclonic vorticity. And we can see in the system right now there is some red showing up. It's rather small, but there is a broad cyclonic vorticity, rather elongated. This is because of the gyre setup from gyre setting up around here, so the storm's located in it. So if we can, I just want to make a few more announcements at the end of the video. We've got my Twitter page that you can go follow, where I'll give intermediate updates. So when I'm not making videos, there'll be updates on this page. You can follow that. You can go and follow me on this. I also put the link in the description below. Also, I'm clicking out another announcement is this Discord I'm in. They are very useful and helpful, so if you'd like to join that, I'll also put the link in the description below as well. I think that's about it, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow.